What's going on, everyone? ODC here, and I'm back with another action figure review. Today's review, as promised, I said I was going to review, I think maybe, my favorite figure in the entire 2.0 advent of Decay wave. This is King Bromdenn Ironjaw. This is a really cool looking figure. I mean, when I saw the prototype for this guy, I was extremely excited. They pretty much showed everything that he came with the prototype, and the stock photos didn't do this guy justice. When you get this guy in hand, man, he is awesome. I'm kind of upset because they didn't send me my weapons pack for the dwarfs, which I was hoping to get because there's a whole lot of weapons that came with the dwarf set that I wanted to hand down to like Thord and a couple of the other dwarfs. But this is the Dwarf King. He is working for the baddies, but his backstory is quite interesting because uh, he's. It seems like he had his head in the right place, but it doesn't seem like it seems like he sparked the wrong deal, or a deal went sour, and he sparked the deal with the devil. And I don't necessarily think that he's probably a bad person at the end of the day, but he's definitely working for the wrong group. And I think he's one of those kings where they make irrational decisions maybe sometimes, and they kind of need to start backpedaling. And some kings are so headstrong that they don't like to backpedal or admit that they were wrong. That's just what it seems like with his backstory. It seems like he sparked a deal with Gorgo and the King Noglin, which is the king of the goblins. Okay, I'm going to show you the whole read up and everything, but it's quite interesting. It makes sense as to why, Thord, obviously I'm assuming is his son. Let's bring Thord in here really quick. And now it's story time with ODC. Anyway, I'm assuming that Thord is obviously his son. That's what I'm assuming. I don't know 100%, but that's what I would like to assume. That would make sense as to why he went with the good guys. He went with the Noble Bear clan with Atlas the Conqueror. And this guy, obviously, these weapons did not come with him. I just switched them out. But it obviously he did not agree with his decision to put his kingdom in jeopardy like that. So it would make sense as to why Thord left. Like I said, hopefully we get more of these stories in a future part 2 comic, or maybe a graphic novel, something of that sort. But I'd like to see more of this story unveiled. His backstory sounds very much like very similar to a lot of the medieval times or sword and sandals type fantasy type stories that we've gotten in the past, or TV show stuff like that. It just seems like maybe, I don't know, maybe in the backstory, more of a backstory behind it. Maybe he was forced into doing that for his people, but he is rather on the rich side, and so is the King Noglin. So it's kind of like they bump heads, but then yet they work together. It's very odd. But there's I'm assuming father and son. But anyway, little bit of talking about King Bromdenn here. He does come with a little bit of like faux fur right here, which is pretty cool. I'm going to break down the figure in a second, but I'm kind of just mesmerized by the level of detail in this guy. He is, even though he's sharing the same body as all the other dwarf bodies that we've seen before, really where it's at, I mean, is this head sculpt. It's the head sculpt. It's the removable crown, which I'll get to. It's this newly sculpted battle hammer, war hammer, whatever you'd like to call it. And the obviously the shield is very well done. We saw that with the cavern dwarf, but this has the beautiful paint apps going throughout. He also comes with this new sword, newly sculpted sword, but I'll get to that in a second. You can't see it right now because it's kind of in the sheath. But everything just looks really good. And this is pretty much, I want to say, it's pretty much everything that he came with as far as his accessories go. Nope, I lied. There's a couple more things. There's obviously the back adapters for the wings. If you want to have a flying dwarf king, you could go that route. But he also comes with this battle axe right here, another one. So he is armed to the teeth. And then I don't think I'm going to have him displayed with this helmet. It's another knight helmet. But this is obviously his, when he's gearing up for war. Let me fix that little plume piece. And his back of his head is kind of popping off, or it's kind of like crooked. There we go. There we go. That's better. All right. Obviously, this is his armor helmet that he's going to use when he goes into war. The problem that I always had with this is that it's cool that we got this as a removable or an extra head, but I mean, it should technically come with a sculpted beard. I mean, obviously the beard's not going to go anywhere if he puts a helmet on, so it would have been cool if they would have included some sort of sculpted beard like they had here. But that's probably why I'm not going to use that helmet. I might use it for another character. I could use it for the Black Knight. I could use it for a plethora of different other characters down the road. Like I said, the battle axe, everything is pretty much matching with him. Everything is like black and gold, a little bit of red going throughout. He does come with a cloth red cape here, which looks really good. And then he also comes with his shield and sword and all that stuff. So let's take this apart, take that off, and then take this off. And we'll get his sword out of the sheath there. And then we'll remove the helmet piece. And then we'll take a look at Bromdenn with no helmet on, or no crown on, excuse me, helmet. Idiot. He does come with like this kind of faux fur, which is kind of I don't know, I guess it was kind of a pain in the ass to get this on, and then with the cape as well, trying to get that on with the shoulder pads. I mean, everything is kind of, you're definitely not going to get a whole lot of range of motion with his head after all of this stuff is on him. His head's just going to kind of sit like this, and then you kind of have to use the waist to manipulate him turning his head. So he's kind of got that, turning with his shoulders, his head with his shoulders syndrome. But it looks really good. The sculpt of the head, since it's so bulky, you're not going to get a whole lot of range of motion, like I just said. If you put the other head, the helmeted head on, you'll get a little bit better range of motion due to the lack of sculpting on the helmet for the beard. Obviously, the beard's going to be getting in the way of that. The shoulder pads are shoulder pads that we've seen before, or shoulder armor, excuse me. I know someone that's going to upset somebody. But we've seen it in previous waves before. Looks really good. I like the paint deco that we have here, like with the red and the gold and the black. He looks very regal, and it looks really just so nicely done. I like that all of the I don't know, I want to say commanders or leaders or kings they look the part. They all look very regal. Like Attila looks amazing. He's got that beautiful lion war helmet. It looks fantastic. Bromdenn here, King Bromdenn, has the crown with the extra head and all of this coolly, that's not a word. All of this wonderful paint deco going throughout all of his stuff. I mean, it doesn't technically have to match everything. Not everything has to match, but it fits so well with the character. I think it looks really good. So, like I said, getting this on, now this is how it's supposed to be put on. I double-checked, I triple-checked, forums, Source Horseman, stuff like that. I'm on that forum, and I checked stock photos, stuff like that. This is technically how it's supposed to go. You kind of want to have that. I know that's why he's got these little hairs. It looks like he's got hairs sticking out of the back of his head, but he doesn't. It's just his fur kind of getting in the way, wanting to do things. But you get past that, obviously. The only way to get out these capes on is to have this shoulder armor on. So that's you're going to have that on if you want to have the cape on. Unless you want to put one of the back adapters in and then have the holes set up a little bit differently, but you might end up tearing some of the holes on the cape. Worst case scenario, you can always make your own custom cape. You can go to Joann Fabrics or another fabric store, and you can go pick up some fabric and cut it up and make your own cape if you want to have it a little bit more tattered or whatever you want to do. But for him being a king, being regal, I like his cape the way it came. It's very clean, nice, regal, red looking color. It just goes well with the black and the gold. And he just looks so small, but so awesome at the same time, you know? He's so teeny. He just looks like he's definitely one of those kings that maybe like to get his hands dirty in battle, you know? Now I'm just going to set him aside really quick, and I want to get to the packaging, which is what I usually do in the beginning, but let me just fix that. There we go. Here's the packaging. Obviously, we've seen it numerous times. I show it every time that we do a video. Let me get him out of the background, and this out of the background. There we go. There is the packaging on the back. Obviously, it's the same new card artwork that we've seen prior. And if you do want to have this nice little plot synopsis read up, you can, for those of you that are reading it live, I'll hold it up a little bit longer. For those of you that are watching this on playback, you can pause it and read it if you want. Or if you've read it, you can fast forward through, and that will be that. On the other side, we have the insignia for his clan. On the other side, we have the read up, and I will keep it here a little bit longer than normal so you can read it. It's funny that it doesn't mention anything about Thord in there. But I guess we'll have to figure that out down the road. Obviously, there's going to be more of a read-up. Okay, so there is King Bromdenn. Like I said, you can always go back and read it, or you can go on the Source Horseman forum and check out all of the little read-up card artwork if you want to. Bringing him back in here. Actually, let me set him back or to the side because I'm going to show you up close and personal. His crown, which looks really good. I mean, look at the intricate sculpting here going throughout the crown and all of the nice sculpting that they did with this crown. It looks really just so well done. You do have to push the crown down a little bit on his head for you to get it to stay on his head. But the gold is really well done. The black is really well done. I don't really have any paint slop going throughout. To be honest with you, all the studs are done well. This just looks like it would be a dwarf king's crown. It looks good. So there's the crown. I'll give you another little look-see of the helmet. His war helmet. Looks pretty darn good. It's pretty much just black and gold with a little bit of red going throughout the this part of the detail of the helmet. And there's the little plume. Then we have, next up, we have the axe, which I showed. Looks really good. Nice gold up top with the black. Looks really good. Just very well done. All right. Next up, we have the shield, which, like I said, we saw this prior with the Cavern Dwarf, and now we're seeing it again with better paint apps, obviously. I like the gold going throughout the outline of the shield, and I like the gold for the insignia on the face of the shield. It looks really good. I like the black on the outside, the black even in the crevices of the face here, and to the outside as well. And then he's got red eyes too, which is pretty awesome. So everything's pretty consistent with how the paint apps are done, how the paint is applied, and color scheme as well. Obviously, we have some silver studs going throughout, and you flip it around to the back, and it's just pretty much just like a black plastic here with some gold. I might actually go back later and paint these silver myself. Those little studs on the back, just to match the front. Why not? And then next up, we have his newly sculpted Dwarf Sword. Looks really good. I like the sculpt of this a lot. It might be one of my favorite swords from the new sculpt. Newly sculpted weapons, excuse me. But very well done. There's actually some black paint shading going throughout. I'm not sure 100% if this was painted gold first or if this is just black plastic bleeding through. I want to say that that was painted gold first and then there was black paint shading put on after. That's what I want to say. But it kind of looks like they almost didn't put enough gold on here and the black started coming through, bleeding through maybe. But either or, I mean, it looks pretty cool. I like the fact that they gave us some little bit of paint shading going throughout. I think it looks good. So that is nice. And here is the handle. And then moving on to the last piece to the proverbial puzzle is his Warhammer. I like the spikes on this end. This looks really good. To me, this is like his go-to weapon as far as that goes. There was some assembly it required. You had to pop this head piece on right here, the hammer piece. Hammer piece looks really good. I like the silver on top of the spike on this little design on the side. The black going throughout these little crevices right here. And then obviously it mirrors that on the other side. Then we have some silver paint shading going throughout some of the top right here. And then over here towards the bottom, we have some black paint shading going throughout the middle of the handle, and then, or the staff, excuse me, staff portion. And then we have some more black paint shading going throughout the bottom. So it gives off that little bit of grime to it as well. But everything looks really nicely done. So, and this might be one of my favorite weapons too, to be honest with you. Okay, bringing King Bromdenn back in, I should probably give him his... actually, you know what? I'll go through articulation next. Let me just get a little bit of focusing there. As far as the articulation does go with his head, this head on, you're not going to get a whole lot, like I said. It's pretty much just a little bit here and there. If you go too far, the head's going to pop off. So the head doesn't really look up either. His shoulder pad now is popping off. So the more you move him around, the more fussy he's going to get. He just kind of wants to look straight. That's pretty much it. That's all you're going to get with him. The arms go up, down. Obviously, you're going to have full 360 rotation if you don't have the shoulder pads on. Once you have the shoulder pads on, he is very limited. He's going to get up about that far without it popping off, which isn't a whole lot. But, I mean, depending on how you pose him, I guess you could work with it. You're going to have to work with him a little bit more. He's going to be a little bit more of a fussy figure as far as articulation does go. He does have a single bend at the elbow, which is not the best over here. And that's about it. So less than 90 degrees, I want to say. Actually, he might need to be, his elbow might need to be swiveled. If I can get it. There we go. That's proper. There you go. Now you have your full range of motion there. So if you don't get the full range of motion like I just had, swivel the elbow and make sure that you have the chainmail in the arm facing outward, because that's the proper way to have it. Then he does have a swivel at the elbow, a swivel at the gauntlet, a swivel at the wrist. Come on. Swivel at the wrist, hinge joint, which goes back and forward, or side to side, excuse me. He does have that old body waist swivel, kind of lower diaphragm joint, I should say. It does pivot side to side, and there's no jive turkeys in the neck, and it does swivel. He can do the splits very nicely. He is very limber for a king. And then his legs can go out. He does have an upper thigh swivel, a single jointed knee, a swivel at the knee as well. He does have a swivel right there, and then a swivel at the ankle, points the heel, points the toe, and then we have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes at the bottom of his feet for those of you that matters for. Like I said, I wish they would get some sort of new way for the cape. I don't really like the way that these billow out. For him, it's fine because, you know, he's not as... It doesn't look as awkward on him, but I feel like the way that they're set up with the 4 peg holes, and I know I said this before, but it's just something that I wish that they would maybe strive to fix. As far as him holding the hammer, he can hold it in either hand. I just like him holding it in his right hand and having... but here he is with his sword in the other hand. So if you want to have him dual wielding, you can. There you go with that. Or you could have him with his shield and his sword, if that's the route you want to go. I know I'm blocking the light here because I'm reaching over. As far as his head, how his head looks on the with the other head on, excuse me. Oh, I'm dropping things all over the place. There you go. That's what he looks like all armored up. Yeah, I mean, I feel like to go with this head defeats the purpose of buying the figure almost. I mean, why wouldn't you want this head on the body? You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, I get it if you want to have him in his geared up look, but I feel like it kind of takes away from the character to not have his head on, you know? But yeah, you can use that other head for pretty much any other character you want. If you want to use it for the Black Knight, you can do that. If you have the Black Knight. If you don't have the Black Knight, use it on a different knight. But I like all of his accessories. Definitely his range of motion, his articulation is there, but the range of motion is kind of crappy on him due to the small body, the head getting in the way, the shoulder pads getting in the way of that. There's just a whole lot going on here. I'll just put that down for now. As far as that goes, but overall, I really like this figure. Yes, it will fit on the Black Knight. I really like the accessories he comes with. I think everything is well done. I think it all makes sense as far as function goes, or not as far as function, but as far as form goes. I think it works perfectly. Functionality, he's not the most functional figure that you're going to own, but um, he might be. You might have to work with him a little bit more as far as posing and taking pictures and doing dioramas and stuff like that. If you are a serious photographer, you're going to have to probably work with this figure a little bit more than you would some of the other ones that have a little bit better range of motion. I would definitely suggest if you want to really pose him and get the most out of him, probably remove the cape, remove these shoulder pieces. That will free up a lot of range of motion, but you're going to have to take off the fur too. So maybe if that's the route you want to go, if you want to have him all geared up as far as that goes, maybe remove the cape, remove the fur, and then put the helmeted head on. That might help you work with things better. But yeah, he is definitely, I think. I haven't reviewed everybody else. I've only done a couple reviews, but as far as when I get to everybody else, because I do have all of them, right now he's my favorite, to be honest with you. And even though he is limited, he's still my favorite as far as everything he comes with is awesome. He looks fantastic. I love that head sculpt. It's probably one of my favorite head sculpts. I love all of the intricate gold. These little I don't know what you would call those those little hair clamps or whatever you would call that. But the design on him is really cool. I like all the sculpting for the head. All the braids looks really just so well done. The eyes look cool. He does look really awesome. I love his design. The advent of decay bodies, well, it depends on what bodies you're talking about. The advent of decay bodies, some are used, some from 1.0. Like here's a figure from 1.0. Here's Thord Ironjaw with King Bromdenn Ironjaw. They're compatible. This body is compatible. The new bodies are not interchangeable. If you're talking about the brand new bodies like this, they are not going to be interchangeable with the ones like, oh god, I'm knocking things over. Okay. They are not going to be compatible with like Sir Gideon. Sir Gideon and this knight they're not going to be interchangeable unless you're using just the heads only. But then even then, I think the head pegs are smaller on this than him. Let me double check. And of course, the whole peg had to come out with the head. Of course, naturally. Nothing can be easy. Nothing can be easy. Let's just try Thord here because there we go. The head, I don't know. The head, it sits on the peg. It doesn't seat perfect in there, so I don't know. It doesn't really look right. It looks like the head's too small for the body. So there's a portion of that is correct. The brand new bodies, yes, they are not compatible, but some of the bodies in this wave advent of decay are reusing bodies as well, so there's that to point out. So not all of the bodies are compatible, some are. So there's also like Calibus. He is on one of the old bodies, so he's going to be you can use parts off of him on the wave 1.0s. So there's that bit of information. But yeah, but that's King Bromdenn. King Bromdenn Ironjaw. King Bromdenn Ironjaw. He might have a voice too now with Sir Gideon Heavensbrand. Yes, Sir Gideon. But there's King Bromdenn. He's pretty awesome. I would definitely highly recommend you pick him up. If you were to only get a couple, I would say maybe have him in your top 5, especially if you don't have a dwarf body, and if you want, a baddie to have your good guys go up against. He's pretty well done, and you could have him in battle. You can have him looking regal. Anything you want to do. I would like to find a smaller scaled throne for him. Because he's a dwarf. He's a little bit smaller, but I think he definitely looks good. He gets definitely my seal of approval. He gets the 2 thumbs up. As far as, like I said, range of motion, he doesn't have it. If you got him like this, the articulation is there on the dwarf bodies. Like you said, you can see him doing the splits and all that. But overall, I like the figure. He's one of my favorites, if not maybe my favorite after all this is said and done. But I don't want to jump to conclusions here until I've reviewed everybody. So, but as of right now, he's my favorite. So there is that. Yeah. Is the Colosseum compatible with Advent of Decay? Like I said, it depends. Some of the bodies in the Colosseum wave are going to be compatible due to, like, this body right here is compatible. The older bodies are going to be compatible because they're using the older bodies. So a lot of them, excuse me. But I would like to know if the trolls are compatible, if you can interchange the trolls. But I'm pretty sure that those are rotocasts and you can't. So I'm pretty sure on that one. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I think that's it. Like I said, 2 thumbs up here for King Bromdenn Ironjaw. That's pretty much it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Hit the thumbs up. It helps my channel a lot. Be sure to comment too. That helps my channel grow as well. If you haven't subscribed, hit subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. You got to hit that bell twice until you see 2 little parentheses hanging over the bell. And then you will receive all notifications. If you only hit it once, you only receive occasional notifications. So, but join me again tomorrow. I'm not sure what time, but I will try to get that all said and done. I'll get another one done. I'm not going to say which one, but, I have one in mind. But this is definitely one of my favorites. You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for all the feedback, the support with this series of Mythic Legion's Advent of Decay. I've received a lot of positive feedback with this wave, and I can't thank you all enough. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'm not just saying it to sound fake or any of that. If you've been a long-time viewer of my channel, I've been around for about 6 years, and yeah, I try to stay as genuine as possible, but I really do mean that. Thank you so much for the support. I've seen that I've gotten a lot of new subscribers, so thank you to the new subscribers, and thank you to all the old subscribers for sticking with me all these years. So thank you so much. Hit that like button. Hit the thumbs up. Is what I meant. Hit the thumbs up. It's free to do. It helps my channel, and thank you so much, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.